Hi guys, this is your girl Wakeji Kamore and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. We are currently going through the book of 2nd Samuel. We're doing this chapter by chapter, and today we'll be covering chapter 4, which I will be reading from the NLT version. So please listen to the end because I will be sharing my key lessons at the end of the reading. Also, remember to subscribe, to share this with someone else, and to hit the notification bell so you never miss any chapter. All right, are you guys ready? Let's do this. All right. Let me try actually read this name. Ish-bosheth. When Ish-bosheth, Saul's son, heard about Abner's death, guys remember Abner is dead? Whoop whoop. I don't know whether it's whoop whoop or I don't know. I don't know what feelings I have for Abner, but clearly David was not happy that Abner died. So anyway, when Ish-bosheth, Saul's son, heard about Abner's death at Hebron, he lost all courage, and all Israel became paralyzed with fear. Now there were two brothers, Baanah and Rechab, who were captains of Ishbo's raiding parties. They were sons of Rimmon, a member of the tribe of Benjamin, who lived in Beeroth. The town of Beeroth is now part of Benjamin's territory because the original people of Beeroth fled to Gittaim, where they still live as foreigners. Saul's son, Jonathan, had a son named Mephi-bosheth. Hey, these names, they're getting harder and harder. Okay, so you guys remember Jonathan? Jonathan had a son called Mephi. Let's just call him Mephi, who was crippled as a child. When he was 5 years old, when the report came from Jezreel that Saul and Jonathan had been killed in battle, when the child's nurse heard the news, she picked him and fled. But as she ran and hurried away, she dropped him and he became crippled. So guys, mmeelewa? Kuna jamaa anaitwa Mephi. Mephi is the son of Jonathan, and Mephi is crippled. How he got crippled is that when the news reached the nurse that Jonathan had died, the nurse picked Mephi and they were running, and then she dropped him, and that's how he became crippled. All right. One day, Rechab and Baanah, guys remember these guys, we've just been told about them. They're just two brothers, and they're the captains of Ishbo's raiders. So Rechab and Baanah, the sons of Rimmon from Beeroth, went to Ishbo's house around noon as he was taking his midday rest. The doorkeepers had been sifting wheat and they had become drowsy and fell asleep. So Rechab and Baanah slipped past her. They went into the house and found Ish-bo sleeping on his bed. They struck and killed him and cut off his head. Whoa. Then taking his head with them, they fled across the Jordan Valley throughout the night. When they arrived at Hebron, they presented Ish-bo's head to David, and they said, "Look," they exclaimed to the king, "here is the head of Ish-bo, the son of your enemy Saul, who tried to kill you. Today the Lord has given my lord king revenge on Saul and his entire family." But David said to Rechab and Baanah, "The Lord who saves me from all my enemies is my witness. Someone once told me Saul is dead, thinking he was bringing me good news, but I seized him and killed him at Ziklag. That's the reward I gave him for his news. How much more should I reward evil men who have killed an innocent man in his own house, on his own bed? Shouldn't I hold you responsible for his blood and rid the earth of you?" So David ordered his young men to kill them, and they did. They cut off their hands and feet and hung their bodies beside the pool in Hebron. Then they took Ish-bo's head and buried it in Abner's tomb in Hebron. What? Okay. That's the end of this chapter. So the main occurrences in this chapter is that first, Ish-bo has lost his heart. He's gotten discouraged after the death of Abner. His captain, Rechab and Baanah, have killed him and taken away his head to David. And David commanded that Rechab and Baanah be killed because they were not worthy soldiers to be trusted. I mean, they couldn't even show loyalty to their king, Ish-bo. They were plain murderers and they just deserved to be dead. That was like a just punishment for them. The thing that caught my attention in this chapter is how Ish-bosheth lost his heart and got discouraged after the heart of Abner. When Ish-bosheth heard that the man who put him and dropped him on the throne, or rather put him and propped him propped him on the throne. Because remember, Abner is the one who declared Ish-bosheth king. So he basically propped him and put him on the throne and said, "You are king." This man is now dead. When he heard the news of Abner's death, he knew that his day was almost coming. He trusted in the man, or rather he trusted in a man to get to his position or to gain his position. So when the man was gone, he knew his position would also be soon gone. Ish-bosheth was weak because he trusted in a man. As a matter of fact, there's a Bible verse in Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 5 to 6 that says, "Cursed are those who put their trust in mere men, who rely on human strength and turn their hearts away from the Lord, because they are like stunted shrubs in the desert with no hope of the future." And isn't that exactly what has happened to Ish-bosheth? Ish-bosheth had been propped up to be king by this guy called Abner. Now they had their own fracas with Abner. They cosaned, and Abner went to David. And unfortunately, where he went to David, he went to give the kingdom of Saul to David. And in the process of doing that, he's seen by Joab and the brother, and they kill him. And so now Ish-bosheth has heard that the man who propped him to be king and just put him on the throne and told him, "Well, now you're the king," that man has died. So now what is he going to do? Because that man, how he gained his possession, or rather how he gained his position, was through man. So immediately this man dies. He knows that even my position as king is soon going to be gone. That's the problem with trusting men. When you trust men, when you trust your own strength, when you trust your networks, when you trust, the fact that you are learned and you have, I don't know how many degrees at PhD and a master's and whatever, like when you trust anything else apart from God, when that thing moves away, you're done. By the way, you are done. You are done. You are like a stunted shrub in the desert with no hope for the future. And that's exactly what happened to Ish-bosheth. This guy was just like a shrub. Like now alibaki hapo. He's just like, now what do I do? And then he gets killed. He gets killed by the people who he's supposed to be king over. My challenge for you, do not trust in man. Do not trust in another person. Do not trust in your strength. Do not trust in your position. Do not trust in your education. Do not trust in your children. Put your full trust in God, because God doesn't change. He doesn't move. Yani, God is there and He's not going to go anywhere. This is your girl Wakeji Kamore, and this has been Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. See you tomorrow.